I checked the time again. 2:12 p.m. She said she'd be home around 3. Which means they're probably in the car right now. On the freeway. Laughing. Maybe holding hands. Maybe kissing at stoplights. Thinking they'd gotten away with it. She has no idea I know. She thinks I still believe she went on a wellness retreat. Just the girls. Wine. Sunlight. Detox. But I know better. Because when she left on Friday, she forgot to unsync her iPad. And Saturday morning, while feeding our dog, I opened it and saw a message pop up from a man I've never heard of. Can't wait to wake up beside you again. I didn't react. Didn't text. Didn't scream. Just watched the messages keep coming. Him. Her. Plans. Jokes. Details. A video I'll never be able to erase from my mind. She was in a hotel bed. Not alone. Wearing the same robe she took from our bathroom. My hands didn't shake. My mouth didn't open. I just read. And watched. And learned. Everything I needed to know. They'd been seeing each other for 4 months. She told him things she never said to me. Called him by a nickname she once gave me. Said she never felt this free before. Said he makes her feel seen. I didn't leave. Didn't call a lawyer. Didn't block her number. I started preparing. I took screenshots. Videos. Dates. I checked our shared credit card. And there it was. A booking for a cabin. 2 names. 1 bed. A note, birthday surprise. Not mine. His. The man she's with right now. Driving home. To our house. To me. She thinks I'll be waiting with a hug. With a, how was it? Maybe dinner ready. Maybe a kiss. But what I've prepared isn't on the stove. I cleaned the house this morning. Not out of love. Not to impress her. But because I didn't want the mess to distract from what was about to happen. I wanted everything to feel normal. Safe. Exactly how she left it. So when it hits her, she won't have anywhere to run. I washed the sheets. The ones she hasn't touched in weeks. Ironic. Since I now know she sleeps just fine. In someone else's. I lit the same candles she bought last month. The one she said made the house smell like us. Funny how scent can be a lie. How nostalgia burns just like wax. I printed out the messages. Not all of them. Just the ones that mattered. The ones that used our pet names. The ones that mirrored phrases she said to me in our wedding vows. I put them in an envelope. No note. No label. Just her name on the front. The handwriting steady. Calm. I laid it on the coffee table. Right next to the book she's been pretending to read for weeks. A nice little setup. For the performance she doesn't know she's in yet. And then I sat. On the couch. Where I first told her I loved her. Where she once cried in my arms after her dad passed. Where we made promises. I sat there. And waited. 2:37 p.m. The dog kept pacing. Like he knew something was off. Like the tension in my chest was leaking into the room. I checked my phone. Location sharing still on. They'd exited the freeway. 10 minutes away. I stood up. Looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like a man who was done. Not broken. Not angry. Just done. And then a car pulled into the driveway. I didn't move when the door opened. Just listened. First her voice. Light. Sweet. The same tone she used when we first met. Like she was still that person. "We're here!" she called out. Like it was a surprise party. I heard him behind her. Laughing. Low. Casual. A stranger's voice. In my home. They didn't expect me to be standing right there. By the hallway. Arms crossed. Expression still. She froze. He looked confused. Like maybe I was a friend. A roommate. Or worse. A brother. Then he saw the ring on my finger. and his face changed. She said my name? Softly. Like that would make it better. I didn't say anything. Just nodded toward the living room. They followed. Slow. Careful. Like stepping onto thin ice. The envelope was still there. Center of the coffee table. Like it had been waiting for them. She saw it. Eyes darted to me. Then back to him. He said, "Should I go?" I said. "You're already here." She tried to speak. I held up a hand. I looked at her and said, "I know." That was it. No yelling. No accusations. No dramatic lines from a movie. Just 2 words. And all the weight they carried. Her face dropped. Like someone pulled the floor out from under her. He sat down. Like an idiot. Like he thought we were going to talk this out. I turned to him. Said, "You didn't even have the decency to park down the street?" He opened his mouth. Closed it. Looked at her. Like maybe she had answers. She didn't. She reached for the envelope. Opened it. Hand shaking. The first message. She read in silence. Then the second. Then the one with the photo. And then the one where she said, "He has no clue." She folded the paper. Slowly. And said, "I can explain." I said, "I know you can. You've been doing it for 4 months." He stood up. Tried to find some authority in his voice. Failed. "Look, man," he said. "I didn't know you existed at first." I just stared at him. He kept going. Like he thought talking would fix this. "She told me things were over. She said you two were basically done. She said she was only staying until the lease ended." That hit hard. Because we owned this house. There was no lease. No end. Only lies. She didn't interrupt him. She just stood there. Silent. Watching the grenade roll across the floor. Pretending her hands were clean. I asked him, "And when you did find out?" He blinked. Shrugged. Looked at her again. She avoided his eyes. He said, "By then, it felt too late." Too late. Like cheating was a meeting he couldn't cancel. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out of me like breath I'd been holding for months. "You two really thought you were careful," I said. "But you couldn't even keep your lies in the same zip code." She finally spoke. "I never wanted it to go this far." I looked her dead in the eye. And said, "You mean you never wanted to get caught?" She said, "It wasn't like that." I said, "Then explain it to him." And nodded toward her boyfriend. Her partner. Whatever he was now. She looked between us. Then sat down. And in that moment, she looked small. Not guilty. Not even sad. Just defeated. And I realized, this wasn't going to be satisfying. There was no version of this where I felt done. Because she wasn't the woman I thought I'd married. And he wasn't even worth hating. They were just 2 people. Trying to make themselves feel big. By tearing something real apart. I said, "This house isn't yours anymore." To both of them. And walked to the door. I didn't slam the door when I left. Didn't throw anything. Didn't scream. Just closed it behind me. Quiet. Final. The air outside felt cleaner. Like the oxygen didn't lie out here. I got in my car. Didn't start it right away. Just sat there. Hands on the wheel. Watching the front door. No one followed. She didn't run after me. He didn't try to defend anything. They stayed in the house I used to call home. Surrounded by the mess they built. I pulled out my phone. Typed a message. Not to her. To our shared group chat with her family. Her sister. Her parents. "Just a heads up, your daughter will need a place to stay. I'll be filing for divorce this week." I hit send. Closed the thread. And never opened it again. They'd find out anyway. Better from me. On my terms. I drove to Mike's. He opened the door and saw my face. Didn't ask anything. Just said, "You need a beer or a punch bag?" I said. "Both." I told him everything. From the iPad, to the weekend trip, to the moment she opened that envelope. He didn't interrupt. He just listened. Like real friends do. Without needing to add pain to pain. That night, I stayed on his couch. Didn't sleep much, but for the first time in months, my chest felt light. Like the weight wasn't mine anymore. In the morning, I checked my phone. No messages. No missed calls. Just one email. From her. Subject line, "Please." I didn't open it. Because I already knew what it would say. Regret. Confusion. A half-hearted excuse wrapped in tears. But it didn't matter. She wasn't my problem anymore. And he never had the right to be. I didn't answer the email. Didn't even open it. Just archived it. Like the rest of her. But she didn't stop there. 2 days later, flowers showed up at Mike's place. Roses. Her favorite. Not mine. There was a card. Not signed. But I didn't need to see a name. "Can we please talk?" No. Because we already had our talk. And she filled it with silence. I ignored it. Next came the voicemail. 2 minutes long. Her voice cracked in the middle. She said she was confused. Said she didn't expect it to go so far. Like love was a street, and she missed the turn. She said she felt trapped. Said I was distant. Said he was a mistake. I saved the voicemail. Not because I cared. But because someday, I might need to remind myself why I never looked back. She sent another email. This time with a list. All the things she wanted to fix. All the times she meant to tell me. All the reasons she thought it was just temporary. I replied with one word. Lawyer. And the emails stopped. But I wasn't angry anymore. Just numb. Because when someone shows you who they are, and then tries to perform a softer version, you start to see the whole thing was always a play. She wasn't trying to fix what broke. She just wanted to make sure she didn't look like the one who broke it. Mike said I was handling it like a machine. I said, no. Just a man who ran out of illusions. I went to the house. Once. To get the rest of my things. She wasn't there. But she'd left a note on the fridge. 3 words. Big letters. I'm still me. No. You're not. And maybe you never were. Weeks passed. Not fast. Not slow. Just enough for everything to start feeling like a past life. People stopped asking how I was. Which meant I was finally allowed to be. The paperwork came through. Clean. Cold. Final. I signed without blinking. Sent it back without hesitation. The end of a marriage. Folded into a manila envelope. She tried to call one last time. Blocked number. But I answered anyway. Just to see what was left. Her voice was small. Polite. Like we were strangers on an elevator. She asked how I was. I said, honest. She asked if we could meet. Just for closure. I told her. I already found mine. She said she missed me. I said, you missed the version of me that didn't know. She got quiet. Then she asked the question they all ask eventually. Do you hate me? I said, no. I hate who I had to become because of you. She cried. I let her. But I didn't say anything. Not anymore. She asked, was it ever real? I said, for me? Every single minute. And that hurt her more than yelling ever could. She said goodbye. I hung up first. Mike and I got beers that night. He said, you look lighter. I said, I am. But part of me, the old me, was still buried somewhere in the timeline. In the nights I stayed quiet. In the mornings she smiled like nothing was wrong. But that version of me died the second she looked me in the eye. And lied again. after I gave her the chance not to. I moved out of the city a month later. Nothing dramatic. Just packed the things that still felt like mine. Left the rest behind. New walls. New street. New coffee shop where nobody knew my name. And no one had seen me smile next to a woman who was cheating in real time. I got a dog. Not because I needed companionship, but because something in me still wanted loyalty in the room. I stopped checking her socials. Stopped looking at old photos. Stopped answering friends who still tried to bridge the distance. Some wounds don't scar. They dissolve. And some people don't leave. They just fade out of the frame. Once in a while, she crosses my mind. A flash. A phrase. The way she used to say, "I'm lucky," while hiding things behind her back. But it's not longing. Not grief. Just recognition of who I used to be. Because she didn't break me. She broke the version of me that thought love was a promise. Not a practice. I still believe in love. Just not the kind that needs passwords and explanations. One morning, I saw her in a dream. She was walking toward me, smiling. But when she opened her mouth, no sound came out. I woke up. Didn't feel anything. Just rolled over. And fed the dog. Because the truth is, she never knew me. Not really. And now, she never will. The end.